When should you start preparing for your law school applications? Especially if you're someone who's a first gen or minority or immigrant applicant. Is now too early? Should you be doing something right now if you're planning on applying in the fall? Let's talk about it. For those of you who are new, my name is Sydney Montgomery, and I'm the founder here at Barrier Breakers, where we specialize in working with first-generation, minority, and immigrant law school applicants. And today, we're talking about the timeline for applying to your law school applications. The important thing is, when we talk about this timeline, I'm giving you the ideal timeline. The timeline if you don't want to be stressed, if you want to have a smooth application process, if you want to just kind of coast into your law school submission dates, which seems like a wild concept for many of you watching, but I promise you it is actually possible. This is not the only timeline. So if you find this video a few months from now and you're like, oh shoot, I'm already late, do not stress. But if you are someone who is trying to get ahead of the game, if you are trying to have the least stressful law school application process possible, then we are going to talk about the ideal timeline for you, especially if you're someone who has maybe some additional challenges. If you're first gen, or if you're a minority or immigrant student, maybe you have a lot of other considerations that other students don't have. So I want to talk to you today about that timeline. So in this kind of early winter timeline, January, February, March, if you haven't already solidified why you want to go to law school, what area of law, maybe one or two areas of law you're most interested in practicing, this is a great time to do that. And how do you actually go about figuring out what kind of law you want to practice? There are a number of ways. One of the resources that I will actually shout out is the I Am the Law podcast from Law School Transparency, which is now underneath the Law School Admission Council. If you haven't heard of this podcast before, it is a great podcast that actually showcases different types of lawyers, different practice areas. We also do that here on our podcast, but they have a wealth of interviews already. And if you're trying to just learn a little bit more about different practice areas, the best way to learn about different practice areas is from actual lawyers. So the first way can be podcasts, right? So, and it doesn't have to be that one. There are lots of podcasts. Listen to podcasts about the different areas of law that you're interested in. Have informational interviews. I'm really excited because for the students that work with us, whether that's in a boot camp or in private advising, we will have our attorney database launched and ready. So we have attorneys who have volunteered to do informational interviews with our students. So that's a really great way. 30-minute Zoom calls, lunches, coffees. It's a really great way to learn what area of law you want to practice. You can read books. You can look at different courses. I wouldn't suggest TV and movies. It's not very accurate. But if there are some lawyers that you really look up to, you can also even go on their LinkedIn and see what their career path was like. But getting as much accurate information about what the law is, what law school is, what the legal profession is, most importantly, because law school and the legal profession, they're not the same. So getting as much accurate information about that will help you know actually if going to law school is the right decision for you. And if so, what is really driving you? Because that why law is so important to creating cohesive applications. Oftentimes I work with students and it might be October, they might have come to me a little later and maybe they have a draft of a personal statement, maybe they don't, but they have no idea really why they want to go to law school. And it just makes it so difficult to have a strong and cohesive application if you don't have that foundational why. So that is really important, and this is a great time to do it. And I really cannot stress enough how important talking to lawyers are. You can also go through your alumni associations. So go to your undergrad, see if they have some kind of directory, see who's a lawyer, look at their LinkedIn, see what kind of law that they want to practice, and cold email. I've done that so many times. I remember there was a time when I was really interested in university general counsel work. I just love higher ed. I looked up a few university general counsels who had gone to Princeton, and I emailed Princeton class of 2015 seeking informal career chat about being a general counsel. I think that was my subject line. It really wasn't that unique. Every single person responded to me. Every single person gave so much of their time to me. They didn't know me from Adam. I was just like, boop, cold reaching out. I introduced myself, my name is Sydney Montgomery. I am interested in going to law school, all these things. And I've done that throughout my career. I did that in law school. I did that after law school. And people are willing to chat, people are willing to help, they're willing to, and not just willing, they're happy to do it, right? They're excited to do it. It's a privilege to be able to do that. So I really can't stress enough how important taking this time to do research on why you want to go to law school and the area you want to go to law school. Amazing. This is also a great time to start researching some LSAT prep options. So this year is a little different because the June LSAT exam is the last LSAT exam that has the logic games in it, which means in August it will be a different test. So we have February, we have May, June, right? Like one test, and then in August and forward, it's a different test. So when you're thinking about your LSAT prep options, if you're thinking about, okay, I'm going to take this course, but I know I don't want to take the LSAT until August. Well, if this course is mostly covering the old LSAT with the logic games, it's not going to be quite the right course. Yes, of course, you're still going to learn reading comprehension, you're still going to learn logical reasoning, but in terms of timing, in terms of practice tests, in terms of tips and strategies, you're not going to have the exact same type of test that you're going to take. So this year, more than ever, it is so important that you prep for the test you are going to take. If you love logic games, then you want to make sure that you are done taking the LSAT no later than June, right? You got to really buckle down and study. If you hate logic games, then maybe you plan to take the August and the September LSAT, and that's completely fine. And if you're like, I don't know how I feel about logic games, now is a great time to take an LSAT diagnostic exam. And there's so many free ones. Khan Academy has a free one if you Google it. But this year, it's really important to be strategic about which LSAT exam you are studying for because they are different and you want to study and prepare as you will take, right? You don't want to prepare for a test that you're not going to take. And you want to also, in this time, do some research on law schools. Research geography, research different clinics and programs and centers that they might have, different supports you might need. Maybe you need a supportive community if you're a mom. So do some informative research around this time too to start building your law school list. And the last thing I will say for this kind of time frame is cultivate your relationships with your recommenders. If you are still in school, then that means your professors, right? So start to make sure if you feel like I've never gone to office hours, now is a great time to start going to office hours. You have enough time to literally build a relationship from scratch if you're thinking about it. So if you're someone who's not really sure, like, I haven't really kept in touch with my employers, I haven't really kept in touch with my professors, I don't really know who could do that, but I kind of liked these people, I just don't know that they know me, just reach out and rekindle a relationship. You don't even have to mention law school or recommendation letters right now. You can just say, hey, I would love to update you on how my career is going, or, it's been a while, I would love to reconnect. And you can have literally 2 or 3 reconnection meetings at this point before you even ask for a letter of recommendation. And it will just naturally happen in the 2nd or 3rd connection meeting. Oh, so what's new? I've been thinking about going to law school. Oh my goodness, really? Law school? You would be perfect for law school. Oh, really? Thank you. I was actually wondering if you would be open to writing me a letter of recommendation. Absolutely. I've loved spending time with you the last 3 months. You understand the story. This is a really great opportunity because, again, students come to me later. They come in August, September, October. They're like, I don't have any relationships with anyone. Like, we don't have time. Like, we're just going to have to work with what we have. Now, we can always work with what we have, and we have definitely strategies and tips for getting letters of recommendation, strong letters of recommendation, even when you don't have the closest of relationships. But it's better having a close relationship. And so now is the time to develop that. Now, April and May, you're either going to be really buckling down and taking the LSAT because you want to be done by June because you love logic games so much, or you're going to continue studying for your LSAT, but you're not planning to take it till August. So the timeline this year really depends, again, on which LSAT exam you're taking. But April to May is also a great time to begin your brainstorming for your personal statement. April, May, June, July, or May, June, July, August. We usually say it takes at least 12 to 16 weeks, around 12 weeks to get really strong law school application materials. That's your personal statement, your diversity statement. You might have some supplemental essays, your resume, if you need an addenda, right? You don't want to rush this process. So giving yourself 4 months at least to write all of your application materials I told you at the beginning, we're talking about stress-free, we're talking about smooth sailing. When you work with us, we have a structured timeline, whether that's in our boot camps or our one-on-one advising. So I really suggest that you make a plan, you make a schedule, you get an accountability buddy, you come see how you can work with us, but you have something in place that, you know, okay, 4 months, I can get my application materials done. I'd love it for your application materials to be done by August, maybe some supplemental essays as they're released August and September, right? But the goal is that you can hit submit in September, maybe October. I'm not saying that November's too late, but we said ideal stress-free timeline. Ideal stress-free timeline is that your applications that don't have any supplemental essays, they're done and ready to go, and you're hitting submit in September. If there are some new essays that come up, like last cycle we saw all kinds of new essays that popped up, then maybe you're working on those in September and you're ready to hit submit in October. That is such a great timeline. You're going to be you're not going to have any stress. It's going to be lovely. And you're actually going to start receiving acceptance letters in October, November, December, which is great because then you can go into the holidays and be like, hello, mom and dad, I'm going to be the first lawyer in the family. Why? Because I have this shiny acceptance letter. And everyone's going to be very happy. Merry Christmas to all, right? So that is one of the ways that you can have a really smooth application process. It's also great because it builds in a buffer in case your LSAT score is not what you want it to be, right? And you're going to be someone that's applying at or below the medians, which sometimes does happen. It's always better if you're going to apply below the medians to apply in the fall, in September and October, when they have more capacity for holistic and comparative review. Every single school accepts students that are below the medians, but they accept far fewer of those students in January and February, right? So you want to be the early bird. You want to get your applications in the fall. Now, the other thing I will say is that over the summer, we're talking May, June, July, August, September, October, so summer and fall, there will be a lot of opportunities for you to get to know law schools. You want to attend LSAC forums. You want to attend open houses. I was so happy that I got to be at the DC Law Fair this fall, or the National Black Pre-Law Conference, or the HBCU Pre-Law Conference, right? There are so many fantastic opportunities for you to meet in person admissions officers, admissions deans, and here's a secret. It's not really a secret, but the law school admissions offices, they're not like huge. They're probably usually between 2 and 5 people, which means that you have more than a 20% chance of meeting someone at these forums who will actually be reading your applications. What a fantastic opportunity, right? For you to introduce yourself and let them see you in real life and not just what you've submitted on paper. Now, there's also virtual opportunities. A lot of these schools have virtual open houses, virtual fairs. Go make relationships with admissions. I can't stress enough how important it is for you to introduce yourself, for you to avail yourself of all the opportunities for you to get to know them and to make that impression, lovely, warm human, and let them see how amazing you are in person or over Zoom, but not just on the paper. If you follow this timeline and, depending on how slow or fast the application cycle is going, you should receive a lot of your decisions in December, January, and February, which gives you enough time to do scholarship negotiations, if you're waitlisted, to write letters of continued interest, to talk to your parents, your significant others, your loved ones about this decision, to look at the finances, to apply for outside scholarships, which is oh so important, and also applying for institutional financial aid and federal funding as well. You want to give yourself enough time to also not rush the financial aspect of this, because it is a huge decision. So that's just an overview of, I'm not gonna say stress-free, but it could be stress-free application timeline if you are applying to law school this coming fall in 2024 to start law school in 2025. Of course, we are here for you. We want you to be successful. We want you to thrive. As a nonprofit, we have several things that are free or very low cost if you are an LSAC fee waiver. We have sliding scales and mission-based scholarships for first-gen students, military veterans, minority and immigrant students, single parents. We want you to be able to thrive and succeed and have community. That's so important to us. That's why we do have a community, not just of all all of our law school applicants, but also all of our current law school students. And we also want you to thrive in your career. We're doing some fantastic things this year with law firm partnerships, public interest organizations, to help make sure that you are career ready even before you get to law school, but certainly while you're in law school, to make sure that you feel supported and you feel like you can go into a work environment where you will thrive. If you have questions, don't hesitate to ask us. You can reach out to us at bit.ly/breakintolawschool. I would love to hear from you, love to hear your questions. You can drop them in the comments or just reach out. We are here at hello@barrier-breakers.org. Of course, please make sure that you are sharing this video with a friend, like and subscribe, rate and review, and I will see you guys next time.